Welcome back, YouTube. Renaissance here with G and J. It's gonna be a quick, informal one. It might be quick. I don't know. We've been having a lot of conversations concerning boxing lately, and they always been turning to good conversations with my cousins here, Vontae and Josh.
Good.
And I just want to
And
continue a conversation we were having earlier. Josh asked a good question that we have been arguing over for the last, I don't know, year or so about ESPN making this fight for Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Josh, what was that question?
So I was wondering because with boxing there's a bunch of politics and it's always hard to make these fights that we all want to see. So I was just asking why doesn't the network, if they want a fight to really happen, why doesn't the network just put the money up for it?
Mhm.
Why don't ESPN put up the money, say Earl, we'll pay you this, Bud, we'll pay you this. If the pay-per-view does well, we may be able to add some more on top of that and then make it happen.
Well, I got something for you on that. Now I just thought about it just now. With ESPN being the number one sports network in the world, they don't really need boxing or Terrence Crawford or anything else for that matter. And then if you want to take it even deeper, I think ESPN is owned by Disney, so they really don't need. Ain't hurting for nothing at all. So
I don't think it. I mean, in a sense of hurting, I definitely would agree, but I don't think it's that though, because I think the thing about Disney in itself, once you get to that umbrella, everything that falls under it is just it's a variety, So boxing is just another variety to add under that. So I feel like when you talk about these mastermind programs or these mastermind industries, that's just bringing more viewership back to your name. And if you could keep the check in one house. Like I kind of agree with Josh. Like, why not just put the money up? You ain't hurting for it. You're not gonna lose nothing. You might not make a lot, but you're gonna make something.
here's something they might lose though. Here's something they might lose because ESPN has definitely. Well, I'm not gonna say always, but I'd say for the past at least 10 years, they've been in Bob Aaron pocket. They say whatever he wants them to say about whatever fighter he got at the time. They ain't never gone against it until Floyd went on there himself and checked everybody on set. That's the only time they didn't bite the system. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a look, shout out to my job. I ain't gonna talk about my job, but I got a good job. Cause I'm about to talk hella shit about corporate. Look, man, we all apply to these jobs, man. We don't get them all. When we get them, they don't be paying us right. And you already know why. Vontae alluded to it. You have different sequesters, you have different departments that you are funding and that you give like budgets to. They gave a specific budget to boxing. They gave a specific budget to Bob Arum. And he has lately specifically talked about how he has went over budget and not got his revenue back or got those dividends back for the shareholders and for Disney. And Disney looking at him like, bro, we gonna cut your departments. We gonna start firing
Hey,
people.
hey, like I said to Josh, we was talking about this the other day. I think that curtain is being lifted in boxing. The same as it happened to the music industry. Back in the day, in order for you to get yourself out, you had to go to one of these big time labels, get you a big time record deal. And then what happened? All these backpack artists, all these independent artists start making their way through and kicking down doors. And we the people, we writing their checks now. So I think in boxing too, we about to see a bigger shift, especially in the sense of, I said to Josh again the other day, I don't see why Terence Crawford ain't fighting 2-3 fights a year. 3 is a stretch, but 2 at least. We get one early, one late, And for Bob Arum to say he losing money on him, you ain't putting him out there. You ain't putting him in the ring. You're not giving him the opportunities to bring you back what you asking for. Build that stage. That Pacquiao fight should have been a given, in my opinion. That's an easy check.
It
I
should have,
listened to
but Pac should have been gone, and that should have been his last fight.
Yeah, Pac should have been retired. I've been saying that for 2-3 years now.
Go
but
ahead, Josh.
and to go off of Vontae's point, I listened to a Bud interview on the Zone podcast. I don't know what it's really called, but he said when he fought Amir Khan, they didn't start promoting that Amir Khan pay-per-view until the Lomachenko fight like a month before. And then when they promoted it, the month that when they first promoted it, it wasn't even available to buy yet. So they've been sabotaging Terence Crawford. They have not been promoting him. He did admit that he did not sign the Kell Brook contract in time for them to promote this fight for the Tiafimo and Lomachenko fight. So he did admit to that, that he didn't sign the contract early enough. But other than that, and maybe he might not be the best self-promoter, but other than that, like everyone's been saying, it's not Bud's job to promote. And also, I was gonna ask you, Greg, is Bob Arum losing money or is ESPN losing money on boxing? I think it's Bob Arum. I think he specifically talk about himself when it comes to Bud.
That's a good point, and that's leading into Vontae's point. Vontae had a good point. I didn't think about it. We talked about this because Devin Haney is an independent contractor. Errol is somewhat an independent contractor, and everybody with PBC, most of them are independent contractors. They do not have promoters. They have several different networks that PBC has contracts with. Fox, I think somebody fought on CBS because CBS is a sister company to Showtime. Fox may have a sister company. Oh, they do have sister companies like FS1, things of that nature. They fought on Spike as well. So he has a lot of different networks, and I guess he's trying to, build it like the music industry, which Al Heyman came from. But here's the deal. Because maybe y'all got the key, and I need to explain the situation, and y'all gonna map out how they do this. So you have a fighter that needs to get on TV. So to get on TV, they need to get a network. The network wants some guaranteed money to come back or guaranteed viewership. So they either you have to get them to agree to put up money for you so they can get certain money back. The viewership, the ads, some endorsements that come from the stations. Not only that, they may not promote it. So you may have to go third party and get someone to promote it. That's either doing commercials, that's getting you TV time. It's distribution for the most part. Like people do in music industry get distribution contracts with third-party companies to just make the album, put it in casing. Well, they don't do that anymore because they go on networks or make the deal with Apple. What Vontae is saying is that a fighter with his dad or his manager can go and talk to the network, work out a deal, give them the details, then go to a promoter or someone that has access to get their fight shown and advertised on different networks, maybe at the All-Star game, maybe then again at in the NFL playoffs, maybe during March Madness where you got stupid ass Chuck talking. Get in front of people that have big voices. But to do all that, you have to be super, super duper savvy. And you got to have the plug. You saw the instance where Kell Brook wanted his fight to be shown on Sky Sports in England. And Eddie Hearn said, I ain't showing it because I got that plug. So a lot of times when you're an independent contractor, the reason you can't get anything is because the big wigs have all the connections and they pull the strings. They can go to that network and say, don't let Lil Dude do that. If you let Lil Dude do that, I'm going to pull this and that, and you're going to lose money. So it's hard to be out there by yourself. What are the people in the music industry doing, or what leverage do they have to do that better than the boxers? And if they do have it better than the boxers, what do the boxers need to do to put themselves in the same shoes and have the same impact as the people in the music industry? That's my question.
So I'll go first. I think musicians have it differently because music can speak for itself. They can make a song by themselves, do everything by themselves, and if people like that song, it's gonna be a hit. Like, it's hard as hell to do, but it can happen. Boxing, I think the answer for boxing, and I think the last 10 or so years have kind of like put a bad reputation on boxing. I think boxers need to fight the best people at all times. I think if that becomes a normal thing, I think all these cross promotion, all these fights are easier to make. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, that, and I mean, I I say this all the time, because boxing it's a winning and losing sport. The winner should walk away with the bigger check. And I think that should always be something that's discussed in these contracts, because then you really gonna bring out competition. If you and I got a fight scheduled and you scheduled to make 10 and I'm scheduled to make 5 and I beat you, you still walk away with a win in my book. You walked away with $5 more million, even though you took an L. And I think that that's something that needs to be discussed in the sense of like, I say this all the time. Until we get the fight, and y'all know how I am. Until we get the fight, I don't ever think it's gonna happen. So that goes with Bud and Spence. Like until we get the fight, till it's on paper or till the contract is signed, I don't think it's never gonna happen. And especially in the sense of they arguing over 60-40. Well, in my eyes, y'all 1 and 2. And again, we can pull that aside to another conversation. But I'm saying and figuring out who's better between them two, they 1 and 2. So if we don't know and it's not a clear front runner, then it should be a split fight. And the winner should take the majority. And I think that's the thing that's going to bring the best fighter to the fight. But then also that's going to cut out all that nonsense of going back and forth for contracts. And I know that's a larger conversation, deeper conversation to have. But we talk about boxing. I don't care what your contract looks like. I want to see you in the ring. As a fan, as somebody who's loyal to the sport. But again, we getting pulled aside by these contracts that really don't affect us. And then you got people like Bob Arum who ain't stepping in the ring to fight the fight. He's complaining about how much money he lost.
I agree with you. And in a perfect world, I would really, really want that idea to be what really happens. But if that were to happen, then it would turn into the UFC. And that's as far as promotional things going on where you got everything under one umbrella. But that's never going to happen because
in boxing.
It's never going to happen in boxing because you got, so to Josh's point and to your point, first to Josh's point, it's never really gonna be like that because you got too many people that want to be on top, and it would change hands too fast. Going to Vontae's point, with that being the case, then the promoters would have to take kind of a back seat because their cut is not going to be guaranteed anymore. Or their amount of cut is not going to be guaranteed anymore. So you kind of have to do it the traditional way unless you want to scrap the whole machine.
Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees on here that don't nobody want no promoter involved. I think everybody.
That would be ideal. That would be ideal. But I think a lot of people. It's hard to say because I think a lot of people would be getting taken advantage of, but a lot of people are getting taken advantage of now. So everybody would literally have to be their own CEO. And I don't see that being successful for most people, but it might need to happen.
Good point.
Well, too, and that's a great point to bring up because you got to have a management team. They got to get paid and the promoters got to get paid. But the thing about promoting, that's your job. That's how you get paid. Right. It's like sales. If you don't sell merchandise or you don't sell product, you don't get paid. Like your commission is not there. So in a sense of that, that's going to force promoters to do a better job. If you're going to get a mandatory stake and you need to get your 10%, your 15% commission or whatever you're making for not stepping in the ring, now I'm making you do your job.
So Jay, okay, so let's say this, right? Let's say the promoter's cut comes out of the 40% or the 45%. And that extra 10 that the winner gets is their money.
Hey, there it is.
They like that. So going back to the money, this the problem with the money independent contractors. What happens when Lil Baby is a feature on every hit track that's out, which is the case going on right now?
Yeah,
his fee gonna go up. Go up. That's what Errol Spence. That's the problem with fighters right now. If I'm getting hits, I want my feature fee to go up. So whatever we come into a fight like, yo, bro, you ain't making hits like me. If 50 Cent and Rick Ross sat down, they ain't making no deals together. Because Rick Ross gonna say this and 50 gonna say that. It's hard to do versus not only because people don't like each other, because then you got to get splits going. Then people arguing about their catalogs and stuff because they're gonna expect more to come on their side because all the hard work they put in before that. Not to say I agree with it, but all I'm saying is that those individual arguments are always going to come into a fold. And the problem, when I was listening to y'all talking, I figured out one of the problems is that with boxing, it always takes two. In order for your product to be good, you need someone else to sit down with you. So you either say, I cut my stuff up, I cut up my money to get someone else involved, although I can make money by myself, or I just keep pounding the pavement on the fact that I'm supposed to get a higher cut and build it up so much that people have to come and pay me my fee.
So let me ask you a question. Do you feel like within boxing, because obviously it's an individual sport in a sense, do you feel like in boxing we can see a clear distinction between those gaps in rank opposed to when we talking about Bud and Spence? Like,
are you
so?
Go ahead, Josh.
So with Bud and Spence, I personally think Spence deserves the bigger purse. He has 2 belts. He's the bigger pay-per-view star. He has this is his 3rd fight on pay-per-view. Bud has 1 fight on pay-per-view. It did horribly, mainly because they didn't promote it, but still it did horribly. So in this instance, I feel like Bud should, maybe he shouldn't take 60-40, but he should maybe take 55-40. He should negotiate. You know what I mean? But
I would agree
he should
with you if
suck
he
it
wasn't
up.
coming off a car accident.
But Bud should suck it up and take the less money. One, you got 1 belt, he got 2. Now, if he somehow gets Pacquiao's belt and it's 2-2, then just 50-50 it up. You know what I mean? And just make the fight happen. But with Earl having 2 belts and Bud having 1, I feel like Bud should be like, all right, we ain't gonna do 60-40. I do 45-55. Let's make the fight. I'm gonna beat your ass. And that's the end of the discussion. If you that confident, sometimes you got to take that loss. You got to take that 10% loss.
I think disagree with us. I want to hear what he got to say.
Well, hold on. I agree. For one reason, though. I agree with that for one reason. How can I say this? With Crawford being with Top Rank, he's not getting PBC size checks anyway. So you might as well go ahead and take your loss on the front end, get the money on the back end, or negotiate for some money on the back end if you can. Just let that rock and be what it is, and hopefully you get the top spot with the win, and then you're gonna be the pay-per-view king no matter what nobody say, and Teofimo can say whatever the hell he want to say, and they're not gonna be number 1. So
exactly,
that should be the plan, but that takes a lot of being humble. Yeah, I don't know if he can do that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that I think Bud accepting that lesser percentage, I feel like he would take that as like kind of like giving in, and I don't think he wants to feel like that personally. But man, I just want the fight to happen, and Earl can keep it simple as that. He ain't even got to talk pay-per-view numbers. He'd be like, I got 2 belts, you got 1. Give me the bigger cut. Just keep it that simple as that.
He might as well, because it's not like it's going to change public perception, because public perception right now is somehow Bud is complicating things, and Errol's so quiet and straightforward that nobody is, even if there was complications on his side, you're not suspecting it. So, I mean, you might as well go ahead and get it out the way however you're going to get out the way. Because, I mean, how much more can you build it? Because you don't know when we're going to be out of quarantine, and even if we are people going to come out the house like they were? Ain't nothing to guarantee, and it never was in boxing. So you might as well get it out the way.
I agree, and I mean that's a fight we got to get at least 2. Well, I was just saying we got to get at least 2 of those fights. That fight got to happen twice, so it's gonna be even bigger the second one.
Then too, you fight in Cowboy Stadium. Dallas don't pay state income tax, so that's more money for you at your purse anyway. So fighting in Texas save you some money, a lot of money. NBA players and NFL players that live in Texas, they money go a lot further because they ain't paying that state income tax.
I think Florida.
Yeah, Florida's the same way. Because the Miami Heat.
Right. It's just a bad boxing.
They'll include that in your contract. They'll be like, we know you're not paying state income tax, so we're about to give you less money. The Miami Heat work like that. They do that.
That's because Florida's a different country, man. They live by different rules down there. They need to go ahead and float off.
But more of the nuts and bolts of why Errol deserves more money is because him and his team have done more work. But like you said, Bob wasn't doing the utmost. And I think I think Al Heyman more so than just taking fighters from Golden Boy underneath their nose because Oscar De La Hoya wasn't doing his job or paying attention. Everything they've been doing since then have been more cutting edge. It's the way they promote, how often they're available on social media, where they do their interviews. It's like Bob Arum was old school. You go to ESPN, you go to these old school people that type in the typewriter and the paper come out on Sunday type joints. All of a sudden, everybody's got Instagram, everybody's on Twitter, everybody's going to the YouTuber, the random YouTuber that's in their basement, what have you, just to get exposure. And Errol saying, I didn't have a promoter. I'm still doing better numbers than you. I don't talk much. I talk less than you. I'm still doing better numbers than you. You had this machine behind you that plugs you on ESPN. You have the biggest sports network in the world, and I'm still doing better numbers than you. It's obvious that I'm doing physical labor that's expending myself and the company I'm working with or whoever I'm working with. So we deserve more of the cut. You didn't fight. Not only did he not set up the fights, the fact that you fought less opponents, like lesser tier opponents, you had less stress on your actual body. So I'm out here fighting harder fights. I'm exposing myself more. My team working harder. We getting more numbers, and you still think you need to get 50-50?
And that's on Bob Arum at the end of the day.
Yep.
And that's why ESPN said, look, I'm cutting your budget. That's going back to corporation. They looking at your budget. I'm looking at your budget like, damn. Everybody in the company said they checks lower.
Hold up.
Hey, Bob about to be out here like, we'll work for fights.
Hold up. No, this might have been Bob's plan the whole time. You know, he be undercutting people on purpose every time they get up out of here. This might have been the plan the whole damn time. Get him up out of he did the same thing to Floyd. He tried to do that shit to Pacquiao. Pacquiao had too much value at the end of his career, and everybody else that leave, he tried to get you out of there in an embarrassing or a financially debilitating way.
But it's always he has Bud for 11 more months.
But Bud clearly trying to get up out of there, and I don't know what Bob, like, what type of conflict of interest, type of public. I don't know what the hell he doing, bro. Like, it's
you might as well stop asking. It ain't gonna make no sense. Because this is the thing, and I said this to Josh. Which number is greater, 6 or 4? 6. How you turn down a fight because you want more money, and then take a fight for less money? Like it don't. Something ain't clicking.
Because the risk is different. That's what they see. The risk that's different.
It ain't no different. And I'm saying that because the same way he ended that man with one punch, we talk about boxing. You don't play boxing, right? Nate Robinson just learned that. One punch is all it takes. So for you to argue that that's the case and then put yourself at risk for $2 million less, I gotta look at that and be like, do you really want what you asking for? Because what you should have did was went in there and beat his old ass. And no disrespect, Pacquiao, but we ready to bid you farewell. Beat him down. And then we can't say nothing. Now the next time he like, well, I want more.
Who you talking about? You talking about Bob Arum in Top Rank, or are you talking about Crawford?
Crawford.
Like take less money? Or give Pacquiao the 20 mil and do what on Crawford's end?
Take whatever it was. What was it, 6?
Bob stopped that. So Bob said, so this is what happens. Pacquiao come to y'all and say, I want 20 mil. Bob looking at it like, yo, my cut gonna be nasty. Yo, he go to Crawford, be like, bro, we ain't gonna make no money. He be like, I'm talking about me. How much money I make? Nah, we ain't gonna make no money. We ain't gonna make no money. We's ain't gonna eat, boss. And he like, bro, why? Because your boy Pacquiao asked for too much money. We can't afford that. How much cannot afford? We can't afford that. So this is what's gonna happen. If he asked for 20 million, you get 2 million. Well, what happened to the other 10? Bro, you gonna end up with 2 million. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So we can't go. So when you get on TV, right, they're gonna be asking you all types of questions. They're gonna be blaming stuff on me. Don't worry about that. What you need to say is Pacquiao outbid himself. Dude, tripping. Oh yeah, you right. Dude out here tripping. But going back to Vontae's point when he was talking about why is he taking less money for lesser fighters? So here's the thing. Every time you fight a fight that you have a low risk of losing, you have a great risk of looking great. You earn more money while continuing to stay at the level. So you just say you have one fight, because this came up with the basketball game, losing the basketball game and you can't earn no more money. So you have one fight where you maximize your income, you go to 4 million, you go to 6 million, but you lose it. How many more chances do you have now at getting $2 million fights? Don't nobody want to see you no more. Pacquiao fell off after that. But if Pacquiao say I'm eventually fight Floyd and then keep fighting people for 10 million, he keep getting them checks. So while you're waiting, you don't take the low ball and you continue getting money at your level. And then when you finally get to that fight, your profitability increases and you still got a couple years of 2 million under your belt. So now you got it all stacked together. And if you win, you can get even higher pay. If you lose that fight at this level, you don't get no more 2 millions, nor do you get anything higher than that. So you stall.
Yeah.
What he just
and I
explained,
heard
what he just explained is what ruined boxing, because boxers finally started realizing what the metrics were. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, so this is what bumps me here. This is what keeps me here. This is what takes me back to square one and got to build all the way back up chain.
Mhm.
And they really understand it. They're not naive. They're not listening to managers. Half of them don't even have managers no more. So it's like, it's not going to go backwards. So I'm just interested to see what the next step was, because even 15 years ago, we didn't see boxing going into the testing VADA stage either. Or now going into, investigating boxing gloves and all type of different ways to cheat now. Like, things are getting super strict. The rules are starting to change. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even be surprised if like the length of rounds or something changes within the next 10 to 15 years. I really would.
hope not.
I hope not either.
Them 2-minute rounds for that Roy. The 2-minute rounds for that Roy and Mike were trash.
And they 60, man. What you want 2 60-year-old men to do?
No, I'm not saying their effort or nothing was trash. I'm saying the 2 minutes was trash.
Hey, they would have died.
I wish it would have been 3 minutes.
They would have died.
If they die,
both of them died.
They were all ass tired, both of them.
He talking that trash, but we watch plenty Gotti fights, and I'm gonna save it. We gonna have a whole video on why this dude messed with Gotti.
You know why?
No,
you know why?
You gonna explain it to me? I know.
Wow.
And actually, we can leave off on this one. On this, I think we agree on why people should get certain cuts. I think we have really pointed out a lot of the obstacles are going to prevent this fight from happening, but just a little thing, a little glimmer of like hope was that all of a sudden Terence Crawford got on social media. He started promoting himself. So it looks like he's going to stay with Bob. And if he's going to stay with Bob, that means Bob thinks he's going to get some money. And if Bob thinks he's going to get some money, it's because he's probably going to get a good fight. And those good fights are either Pacquiao or Spence. That means Disney ain't going to cut the budget. They're going to keep their boxing department. We might get the fight. So I'm going to leave it at that. Many times we're going to be out on this one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. We have posted everywhere.
Bud, you better leave.
Peace out, y'all.